Hello and welcome. In 2014, a small group of game creators and idealists who disillusioned with the compromises of working for a tech giant embarked on a 10-year journey, a journey to prove to the world that a small Chinese studio could conquer the global stage with a single-player title about an ancient Chinese heroine, the Monkey King Wukong. The studio's founder, Feng modestly said in an interview that they've simply arrived at the right time to carry everyone's hopes. But we believe their ascent to the global stage is much more than that. So for this episode, let us go into the journey of game science and their quest to reach success defying all industry norms. And we're your hosts. I'm Linda.
And I'm Pan.
And welcome to Ascent.
You may have heard of the most famous piece of game science work, which is Black Myth Wukong. How did you hear about this?
I think it was, I'm not a gamer.
I'm not a gamer either.
so it was on every single media in China for a period of time last August.
It's almost impossible to not see it coming out, right?
Yeah.
When Game Science released the trailer back in 2020, they had only expected that 500K views, but it ended up having more than 50 million views, which is 100 times.
Yeah.
So definitely that covered audience like me who are not playing games at all, but just completely in awe of the quality of I thought it was a movie at the beginning when it came out.
Yeah, it was just good graphics and good music and a 13-minute long video for anyone who's not into gaming.
Why don't we dive back to the very beginning of who we think are the key people of starting game science. And
the two co-founders.
One is the game designer, also the CEO and the producer for the game, Black Myth Wukong, and for game science. And the other one is the key art director for the company. We'll start with Feng.
CEO.
Right. So Feng was born in 1982. He was born in Hubei. And if you're familiar with Hubei, you can go back to Xiaomi episode because Lei Jun is born in the same province but different city. In 2000, Feng went to a great university, Huazhong University of Science and Technology. He is actually a very talented student that he made it to biomedical engineering in that excellent university. And he also interned at Chinese Academy of Science at the Institute of Physics. Wow, he's genuinely a smart kid.
Biomed student, also doing physics.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, well, interned there. Don't know about the workload, but seriously very talented in math.
Yeah.
Exactly. However, he is not the typical good student that we all want to hear about. He is kind of a game junkie. And by game junkie,
to what extent?
I mean, he played games so much that he let go of the dream of going to a grad school. If you think about that, I think most of the East Asian families would have troubles with kids who are like that.
Who are gamers in general.
In general.
Yeah.
He started playing Warcraft and StarCraft in when it was first released in China. And I think everyone knows World of Warcraft. 2004, it is a massively multiplayer online role-playing video game, also known as MMORPG, and it's developed and published by Blizzard Entertainment. So 2005, that's when Warcraft was first introduced to China, and Feng was one of the first players out of the 1.5 million players in that group, yeah. And he was so sucked into that game life, spent so much time in internet cafes. And typically, like in China, there is the reputation goes, if you spend way too much time in the internet cafes and just play games all day, you're likely, basically, you're done for your life.
You're done for life. Wow, that's a harsh punishment.
And so then he loves gaming so much that he decided not to pursue any career in biomedical engineering, but to go into a gaming company and to be a game producer, game designer in 2005. And that's when he started the gaming road.
And there was a story around how he used all the money that his parent gave him
Oh,
for
boy.
grad school,
I'm-
and he had to borrow
I'm scared.
8,000. He had to borrow 8,000 kwai from one of his fellow classmates.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was really poor. He had to borrow money
To play more
to
games.
play games. Jesus Christ. Okay.
And then at some point, because he's so passionate about gaming, it landed him his first job. So that
Right.
did, I guess, pay off.
Pay off.
Yeah.
Yeah. You love something so much that you ended up working there. Obviously with a lot of ideologies. And so we'll cover that in a bit. 2 years afterwards, he ended up hating his job. But
That was
spoiler alert.
Yeah.
So his name at the gaming company is Yokar, Yocar. And
His
that is
nickname in the company.
Right.
Okay.
And
his game name.
right. And basically, the rest of how the gaming industry knows him is through this name. In 2006, right after he joined the gaming company, a new game has been developed and introduced to the market. It's called Journey of the Conqueror. And that game also introduced a new business model to the whole gaming industry, which Linda will share in a bit. The game itself is free to play, but everything else in the game, you have to pay.
Right. So for those of you who are old enough to remember, there was a time when you go to the App Store and almost all the good games you have to pay to download. So like a $2.99 for Candy Crush, if I remember this correctly. But then everything in the game is free, right? But nowadays, if you go to the Play Store or Apple App Store, for the most part, the download is for free for a game. But then once you hit certain levels, you'll be asked, hey, you want to buy this gem for like $5.99? The old model is a pay-per-download model. And the new model is something called the in-app purchase. So you make the purchase once you're actually in the app. And the short abbreviated term is called IAP. And this is what it's generating millions of dollars. It is the default method to generate income for mobile gaming today.
Most of the games these days are very much
IAP
driven. Yeah.
and very much long term. So before, when you develop a game, a lot of the stories are quite linear. So you kind of go through all the what's it called levels, and the game ends, right? Whereas nowadays you actually have forever games, so you can have forever IAP methods to get into the pockets of your gamers forever.
Exactly. 2 years into the company, Feng has really experienced the hype for in-app purchase or any purchase behavior within that game. I think if I were him, this would be very contrasting to his own gaming life before he joined the game company. So I guess maybe his dream got a little crushed.
Definitely.
And he wrote this very long 6,000 character article titled "Who Killed Our Games?" and criticizing, as a game designer, all the things that you shouldn't be doing. He said you shouldn't be using user as just a data point and treating users as an animal. It's like he's his real word.
Wow.
Yeah. I was
very
a
strong.
bit scared by how candid he was in that article. And as a game designer, the company will push you to think about nothing but 5 questions all day long, which is how to make your users more addicted, spend more money, gang up on each other, and hate among different gangs, and how to insert more hidden gamblings and real money transaction into the game, which is all the things that he hated. He thought doing gaming should be creating fun stuff or creating interesting things.
Oh, are you gullible?
Are you gullible? Exactly.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's, young kid going into an industry he loves and then realize it's owned by a corporate.
Yeah.
Right.
Bummer.
Wow. Sad.
Well, yeah, sad. But he also did, in that 6,000 word article, showcase some of the behaviors that he encouraged, which I think in his idealistic world he would like to see in gaming, which is more teamwork, more special rewards, more new content, and more valuable interactions with users, and a diverse area of different quests, You basically get to explore the map and explore yourself and collaborate with others at the same time, like ideological world.
Yes.
Which is so great. He mentioned this multiple times, and not just at the very beginning of his career, and even at the publishing time of Black Myth Wukong. He said the goal to make a game or to create a product is when you yourself is attracted to the game or the product, you feel deeply touched. And if you can feel touched by the product or the piece, then very likely you can use this piece or product to touch many other people who are just like you.
So you have to like what you create.
Exactly. And this stay on as the core of his basic creation ethos, if you can say it that way.
Yes.
Yeah. And in the meantime, there is another very interesting dude who was born just 3 years afterwards at a very different location who was critical to the game making of game science.
Yeah. Yangtze. But before Yangtze, actually, I want to touch on your point of how he said he wants to make sure he enjoys the game first. So if you go to Game Science's website, there's this quote, and it says, first, you must impress yourself.
You must impress yourself.
Yeah, it's amazing. I think it should be the mantra of every single company out there.
Ascent as well.
We like our episodes, every one of them. They're our babies. We hope you like them too.
Okay.
Okay,
End of ad.
Back to Yangtze. Yangtze is the head of graphics. So he's in charge of all the arts that you see in Black Myth Wukong. And he started off as a student in China Academy of Art. And it's in Hangzhou. It's where Game Science is currently situated. He studied oil painting as the major, and he never really liked it. He's also a gamer at heart. So his first job coming out of college is a gaming company, also based in Hangzhou. In this gaming company, he didn't stay that long. So in this gaming company, he got to know a couple of fellow colleagues, and somehow they together managed to convince a highway construction company to invest in 10 million Chinese yuan, which is 1.5 million US dollars. I'm not sure how. It's
Sorry.
Maybe the gaming company at that point just have a lot of different investors, because while he was in school, he also worked for a clothing company to design animation.
A clothing company to design animation.
Yes.
Okay.
A men's clothing company. So I think people are just into it. This is a time period when China is booming. So I think everyone who generated money from one industry just looking for various ways of making money and investing in all kinds of industry. And I feel like animation and gaming at that time is hot. So somehow 10 million Chinese yuan later, and the idea is to develop something like World of Warcraft. They did go through all the production design. It just was never realized. We don't know exactly what happened. So they established the company in 2007. At some point, Tencent reached out to him. Tencent probably saw some of his artworks in this game, reached out to him, wanting to poach him. The highway construction company got a whiff of what's going on. They sent mafia, literally.
Sorry, this is just ridiculous.
And he told this story when he visited his alma mater.
Looking back to the path that I've walked.
Looking and telling the students who are studying to stay on the right path. I don't know. It was a recruiting session actually for Wukong.
Oh my God.
So he was telling everyone that, the mafia confiscated the computer, so the Tencent employee who was in contact with me just bought me a ticket to Shenzhen, so I just never turned back. This is his version of the story. I don't know the level of truthfulness in this, but it's pretty dramatic hearing about it. So that's how he ended up in Tencent, and that's how he met Feng.
You know, like how bad it goes when you have to quit a job by buying a one-way ticket and land in a different city and never go back. It's pretty bad. So then the two of them finally get to work in the same company. They both started working at Tencent at around the same time.
Yes.
but both with different reasons. Yang Qi was avoiding some mafia. And and Feng at the time, he became a little better known in the gaming industry, and then he was hired to operate a few games in Tencent, Immortal Coin, and he does an excellent job actually in doing that. And also, this is actually the very beginning of Tencent's rising on its investing in gaming industry.
Yeah.
At 2008, that's when they both joined Tencent's Quantum Studio. Slightly before that, Feng had written a script with Liu Den, which is another game designer, and they started the script on 斗阵神 Asura, which you will talk about plenty in just
Asura,
a bit. The game.
Their first joint project together.
Exactly. And this is their first joint together. Why don't you go ahead and talk about Asura?
Sure, yeah. So their first game was with, like you said, Quantum Studio in Tencent, one of the 8 internal studios that Tencent set up. And this one is the one that Tencent had the most investment, the highest requirements for quality in general, because they want to make this their flagship game. Tencent at that time is EA nowadays, where it's criticized by players in China for not being really creative, and they're blamed for copy and pasting games.
Public company.
Yeah, and
yeah,
they're
not
just
much you can do.
Not very well perceived by players, but definitely generates a lot of income. And so they want to create an image in front of their players saying that we can create games that are original and of high quality as well. And that's how they brought these two together, because I think at that point, they saw what's the potential in these two, right? And so they've contracted Asura. In Asura, I think you have some data points on this as well. I'm just listing a couple things they spent on this project. That is ridiculous, right?
Well, ridiculous, that word is going to come up very often in this episode. It's nothing that shows that we don't like the company, but they do spend a lot of money everywhere that they go to.
They really want to prove themselves at that point that they are a creative gaming company in China, to really establish their foothold as not only a publisher, but as a developer as well. And so New York Times Square, June 2013, before the official launch of Asura, there was an ad put on it. Asura wasn't even meant for the Western audience. It was mostly a Chinese game, right? So why would you spend money in Times Square? Number one. Sorry, a little critical today. Second, they collaborated with Harry Potter's voice actors.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Cool.
For the project.
But why?
I know. I think there might be an English version, like they're targeting global, yes, but like you should know your audience, right?
True. Quick plug on Journey to the West, because this is both relevant to Asura and Black Myth Wukong. The best explanation / audiobook that I can find online, which I encourage you to have a listen to if you're not familiar with the story itself, is a Monkey King Journey to the West audio edition published by Penguin Random House. It is 14 hours long, caveat. The Journey to the West comparison would be Lord of the Rings to the Western audience. And just a very quick, I'm just going to steal the whole paragraph that it has written in the About page.
Please do what Tencent does. Oh, sorry.
Oh, sassy, okay. A Chinese Lord of the Rings and one of the all-time great fantasy novels, which Neil Gaiman has said is in the DNA of 1.5 billion people. It is true. Every single Chinese kid knows about the novel.
The story.
The story. A shape-shifting trickster on a kung fu quest for eternal life, Monkey King is one of the most memorable superheroes in the world literature. High-spirited and omni-talented, he amasses dazzling weapons and skills on his journey to immortality. A gold-hooped staff that can grow as tall as the sky and shrink to the size of a needle. The ability to travel 108,000 miles in a single somersault. A master of subterfuge, he can transform himself into whomever and whatever he chooses and turn each of his body's 84,000 hairs into any army of clones. But his penchant for mischief repeatedly gets him into trouble. And when he raids heaven's orchard of immortal peaches and gorges himself on the elixirs of the gods, the Buddha pins him beneath a mountain, freeing him only 500 years later for a chance to redeem himself. He is to protect the pious monk Tripitaka. This is the first time that I actually know Tang Seng's name is called Tripitaka. On his 14-year journey to India in search of the precious Buddhist sutras that will bring enlightenment to the Chinese empire. Oh my God. Ever since GRE, I haven't read anything this arcane in a while. But he is not alone, but joined by two other fallen immortals, Pixie, which is Bajie.
Pixie?
Pixie. It's written in Pixie, which is kind of cute.
God.
A rice-loving pig, able to fly with its ears, and Sandy. Shasung.
Okay, this is inaccurate.
A depressive man-eating river sand monster. And Monkey King undergoes 81 trials, doing battles with Red Boy, Princess Jadeface, the monstrous Dowager, and all manner of dragons, ogres, wizards, and femme fatales, navigating the perils of Fire Cloud Cave, the river of flowing sand, 流沙河, and water crystal palace, and casserole mountain, which I think is 火焰山. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And being seriously captured, lacquered, sauteed,
It's called Flaming
steamed.
Mountain in Black
Yeah,
Myth.
Flaming Mountain. Yeah, same thing. And liquefied, but always hatching an ingenious plan to get himself and his fellow pilgrims out of the latest jam. Okay, this is the end of it. So you should have a listen.
Got
that's
it.
14 hours. And that's the backstory for Asura and
Asura,
Monkey King.
yes.
End of plug. Go on.
All right. So you got the original story, 4 guys traveling to India.
Sorry, yes. The short version is 4 guys traveling to India, get into a lot of troubles and get out of it.
Right. Got the sutras.
Yeah.
So one of the things that Asura actually spent money on, one other thing, is they adapted. So it's not based on the original Journey to the West story. It's actually based on something called the Wukong biography, published by a modern writer. They hire the writer to be the world architect for the game. And then let's go into this storyline, and a little bit of a spoiler if you're a Wukong player, Black Myth Wukong player. Everything's intertwined. You'll all figure this out when we talk about Black Myth. So the storyline for Asura is different from Black Myth, but here's how it goes. There are 2 factions of heaven.
Ooh.
Yes. That went into war with each other a long time ago to fight over something called Ling Yun. And Ling Yun in Black Myth is will. It's the same thing. And it's an important resource in Black Myth Wukong with an icon that represented by immortal peach Pantao. Right. So this is the currency in Wukong. The spiritual energy is basically, and it's required for true immortality. And why don't they have true immortality as gods in the heaven? It's a question that precedes this story. So somehow the immortal heavens went from immortal to just a really long lifespan, but they will die at some point. So then they started fighting each other for the will, so that they can stay alive, be true immortals. So they broke into 2 factions to fight each other. The Eastern gods, who are represented actually by the Taoists, so Wang Mu Niang Niang, those folks who are in the Taoist mythology. And then the Western gods, which is the Buddhists. So all the Buddhas and whatnot. So that's why you see both sides in Wukong's story, right? So the winning side is the Eastern gods. And so the Western gods then went to live somewhere else, the West, I guess.
Politically correct.
Oh.
Sorry, we didn't mean to be this sassy, but yes, go ahead.
So it's a really dark backdrop if you think about it, because their conflict isn't about peace or altruism. It's actually just purely about immortality for the gods themselves. Right? So to sustain power, these gods have to maintain this horrible secret, which is the Yao Guai, the demons in Asura and Wukong. They're actually fallen gods who have their memory erased. And they have Ling Yun, they have will.
Ooh, that's dark. Okay.
And they're gods themselves. So when they possess this will or Ling Yun or spiritual energy, however you want to call it, so the Yao Guai can be made into elixirs eaten by the
Gods.
actual gods who are still in heaven.
Oh my God. That's dark.
And so they're harvesting spiritual energy from their fallen comrades.
Oh, geez. That's like the reverse of the story of the real like Journey to the West. Because in the Journey to the West, the gods are the good people.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
and so Journey to the West itself is an actual host created by these two factions. So the two factions realize they need an excuse to cultivate elixirs. So they have Wukong and his group kill demons, kill Yao Guais.
Okay. My childhood just crushed a little bit. Sorry. Thankfully, I didn't play that game. I only watched the TV show.
Yeah, it's very dark.
Okay.
And so this is why I'm saying it's a spoiler. Because Wukong, if you play it to the entire end of the story, you might not be able to figure out this backdrop.
Yeah.
Right?
I think a lot of players, at least the Western ones, when they play that game, they were left very confused about, cool, this is awesome CG, but what exactly is going on?
What are you trying to tell me?
Yeah.
Right? So another spoiler. Feng said, both Feng and Yang said that this is meant to be a trilogy, which is why in a trilogy, in episode 1, you never tell all the secrets.
You bring up the conflict.
Exactly. So in, I guess, the 4th and 5th section, the latter parts of the game, you kind of figure some things out. And I'm not saying that the Asura backdrop is going to be Wukong's final storyline, but it does sound extremely similar, and there's a lot of parallels. So a lot of the Chinese players kind of figure this out.
Because we have something that we can go back to. There is a benchmark story to it.
Yes. What happened is then Wukong realized that there's this deception after the journey. So the journey, if you remember, actually promised them Buddhahood after getting the sutra.
Also, more immortality?
Yes.
Right?
And guess how so Wukong figured out that for me to become a Buddha, to reach Buddhahood, I then can get immortality. Where do I get immortality from? These elixirs.
From the Yao Guais that I killed.
Exactly.
So I have to kill more Yao Guais.
And so it's like a lot of people compare it to a government administration. So are you with us or are you not with us, right? So Wukong made a choice that I'm not going to soak myself into more blood, knowing to what extent that you've been lying to me. And so he became a rebellion 100 years after the journey. Yeah.
Oh, okay, interesting. I can see a lot of Fengji himself in this,
right?
Like the ideology that he painted at the beginning, right? Like I'm just gonna be the rebel, no matter what kind of structure or rules you're going to put upon me. Like I'm not going to tolerate that.
Yeah, I'm going to be the good-hearted rebel. So in Wukong, in Dark Myth Wukong, Wukong in the beginning of the story has this line, which is immortality. For that world, all realms and beings have ruined themselves for immortality. Yeah. So this is the backstory of Asura. When you play Asura, you know right away that this is the backstory. They give this to you right away. Whereas in contrast, when you play Wukong, you don't really figure this out.
You don't.
Yeah. Or some of you piece it together. But most people finish at least the current game without really knowing the whole story.
Okay, I took the liberty of watching a couple Twitch streaming / the game streaming.
Ooh.
Or it's...
What do you feel?
As someone who know the story and watching Western gamers play, it started quite intense, right? You start with a fight with Yangji Erlangshen right away.
Yes.
A lot of people are lost, like right there. Like they have no idea, oh my God.
Who are these people?
Who are these people? Why am I fighting like these big bosses like right away? Yeah. I also watched the end chapter where he had to confront, sorry, spoiler alert, he had to confront a monkey, like two monkeys were fighting each other, right? Like also what does that mean? Even though they have put in cutscenes, like the short videos at the end of every chapter trying to paint the story to you.
Which confuses even more people.
Exactly, because there are still too many characters. It's beautiful, only if you know the backstory to it.
Even for the average Chinese, i.e. me, I don't know the backstory behind every single demon, right? Every single Yao Guai character, because there are just so many of them. And Feng went to some extent, and his team went to some extent to research this backstory. And I remember him saying we actually read through the book to see which Yao Guais are still not killed at the end of the story to make this flow, because the story happens after the journey. And so for you to make it, realistic for gamers who are actually into this story, for them to, if they were to question like, hey, didn't this die in episode whatever of Journey to the West? Like, then they can tell them, no, that's not we actually read the book. This is what happened. That's why we put the Yao Guai here.
Oh, interesting.
So if you're actually into this whole mythology, right, do read up on it. I think it does make you enjoy the game a lot more.
Yeah, just listen to the 14-hour audiobook as an investment to understand what the game is really about. So what happened to Asura?
So Asura, the first 3 chapters were very, very well received. So they spent 3 years creating those 3 chapters. 3 years and a lot of money, right?
Just to show that we can make games.
Exactly. But as soon as they went online, it was really easy for the gamers to consume the contents. Feng at that time, even though he is the head of the project, he's not a seasoned veteran in gaming development in all perspective. He's still quite young, right? So the game also at that time was free to play. And when they designed it, they didn't want in-app purchase.
Jeez.
Yeah.
It took 3 years to make and want to be free to play and no in-app purchase.
Because it was more of a prove yourself project rather than an income generation project. Tencent had 8 studios. They had income generation studios. This project wasn't meant, they knew that this project
wasn't meant
to be the most profitable one. But at some point,
but it wasn't also not making any money,
Right. So at some point, and this is the importance of gaming development, you should always think about your gameplay and your monetization before you develop the game, rather than switching strategies after. Because when Tencent upper management realized that this isn't making any money,
painful.
Right?
Yeah.
They started to force Feng and the team to introduce excessive and predatory play-to-win mechanisms. So you can only win if you can increase your chance of winning by purchasing items. And so this reputation-first project turned into a money-sucking project. And at the same time, because it took 1 year on average to develop 1 chapter, and they need to, when they go online, push out more chapters, they were faced with so much pressure to push out new chapter that the quality naturally deteriorated. Not only were you hitting players with in-app purchases, your new gameplay doesn't meet their expectations. So naturally, you would face a backlash. And the players in China are mean.
Yeah, they're very straightforward. They know what they want and they know what they sign up for.
Yeah.
And just to back you up on a few other numbers, when the game was first published in 2012, when Asura was first not even published but introduced to the mass market, the pre-game registration showed a 99.7 user activation, as in really a lot of people sign up and were actively looking at when it will be published. Yeah. So it's close to everyone.
Tencent spent a lot of money on marketing for 3 years, so everyone was expecting this.
2013, when the game was finally published, and that is when China doesn't have any gaming control. At the highest time, there were about 600K people playing that game online at one time. That's a record-breaking high for Tencent itself.
So they did achieve,
For the first 3 chapters.
Yes.
And then it ran out.
Yeah.
And then you can't switch strategy in the game.
You can't switch strategy.
And when you do that, everyone started hating you. And
there's so many examples in gaming development history where the company switched strategy and it failed.
Very unfortunately, in 2014, that's when they were struggling with the last couple of chapters. Mobile games started to explode. So in 2014, that's when Lightspeed, the other different gaming studio, started to publish more revenue-generating games.
Yes.
So Asura wouldn't be comparable to any of those. Lost its charm. And also in 2014, there was a very famous troll video that was produced by the team who created Asura, which is very absurd. I think that the title can be roughly translated into how much I love to criticize game designers. And it's basically the team making fun of themselves on how much effort they put in the game, but not well received. At the last couple minutes was a interview on Feng himself, escaping the company as was hiding himself at a small corner somewhere in Shenzhen. And then there was supposedly a gamer interrogating him and asking him, why did you not treat us fairly? Like, why did you create all of this for us?
He became the person he wrote about in his Who Killed Game, My Game manifesto.
Yeah. Heartbroken time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The team is really good at making these side videos that makes fun of themselves. They continue to do it today.
One quick plug on Tencent Gaming, just to show you how invested Tencent is into their gaming. So in the latest 2024 revenue breakdown, gaming and social currently takes about half of the entire revenue of Tencent, and that specific branch is called Interactive Entertainment Group, which is Tencent Gaming. That's the current 8 studio, but trickled down to 4 current studios, and Tencent Esport. And the 4 studios are the Timi Studio Group, which is the developer of Honor of Kings, Wonder Royale. And they focus on the mobile blockbusters, and they do MOBA, multiplayer online battle arena, which is, what Honor of Kings is.
It's like Honor of Kings, the number 1 revenue generating games out there, period.
And then the second studio is the Lightspeed Studio, which is what Quantum got merged into. Quantum Studio is the one that Feng and Junkie started with.
Yeah.
And this studio produced Battle Royale and the supposedly global AAA mobile game.
Like Asura-like kind of games.
Yeah, Asura-like games. That's their attempt.
Yeah.
And the third one is More Fun Studio Group, which it's a developer like Arena Breakout, action, like RPG, much lighter mobile games, but with a lot of licensed IPs. And the last one is Aurora Studio. They focus on the high-quality Chinese PC, MMO, and more on the traditional games. So Moonlight Blade is one of the games that they have produced.
Okay. I've only heard of 2 of the games you mentioned.
Yeah.
So I'm guessing they're top-heavy pretty much.
Yeah. Right at the end of Asura, that's when Feng and Junkie wrapped up their journey in Tencent.
Totally disillusioned, published 1 more chapter, and they left. I mean, at that time, it was just a lot of conflict with corporate, right? I'm reading the timeline correctly. The restructuring of Quantum Studio and Lightspeed Studio merging into Photon happened right around the time they're leaving. So I'm guessing they probably knew about the restructuring and was like, I'm out.
Yeah.
And so there are players that really like the game, Asura. And so there's a quote called, "After Lady Whitebone, there's no journey to the West," which actually is a tribute to the original team because the original team produced everything up to Lady Whitebone.
Right? Yeah.
Besides the 2 of them, Feng and Junkie, 5 people left with them. So it's a group that got discontent with corporate and then decided to all leave. Not together, but pretty much all around the same time period, and started something of their own.
And that something that they've started on their own became epic.
Became epic after a few years, but before Black Myth Wukong.
True. After a pretty long time. Like it's
So it's 2014 when Game Science got established in Shenzhen, which is where Tencent is. They just moved next door, basically. And they produced 1 mobile game and 1 PC Plus mobile game before they moved on to Wukong in 2018. So 4 years. And those 2 games, in hindsight, are exactly what Feng hated. about the gaming industry.
You leave a company that you hate, and then you end up making the games that you hate, like for a while.
But for survival, right? And they're also at that time, they've only worked. I mean, minus Yangqi's incident with the mafia, they've only worked for corporate to develop games. They haven't had experience to develop games themselves.
True.
So their first attempt at developing game is naturally a mobile game because that's where their experience lie, right? But which genre or how they're going to develop it is completely surprising. Consider what everything that Feng has stood for in his previous experience.
What did he do?
Said he hated IAP. He doesn't like reskinning. He doesn't like copy and pasting stuff, right?
He did all of that?
First major product is called 100 Heroes. Because they were not on good terms with Tencent, they asked the next biggest gaming publisher, NetEase, to help them publish. They didn't make any money. The gameplay, later Feng himself called it a reskin game with concerning quality. And it's heavily inspired, meaning it copied, a game called Dota Legend.
Right.
Dota Legend is actually a game that's published by another Chinese publisher. Used pretty much the same mechanics with a kind of a different art design. It was a commercial play by any means. It was the cheapest way to make a game by copying someone else's gameplay. Right? So it did generate a lot of players, but it also comes and goes very fast because if you can copy a game, everyone else can copy a game. And the game, and for anyone who's interested, is a 2D game where you have it's a card game where you have, you pick 5 cards and then you let them battle your opponents and then everything is automated. You don't, as a player, you're pretty much not doing much after you throw in your 5-card combination. But then you see the graphics and then I think once in a while you can click on like a superpower.
Doesn't sound very exciting at all.
It's not, but it's very popular at that time. So he used this gameplay, which is very popular with Dota Legends, and he put on the 3 Kingdoms, which is a Chinese IP skin. So NetEase, being very good at gaming publishing, actually did very good in terms of pre-sales. But pre-sale can only get you through your first month. Once players realize that it's just a reskin, people drop off, right? So quickly they realize, oh, well, first of all, I did exactly what I asked people not to do in Who Killed Our Games. And then it failed. Yeah.
That failed quite quickly.
Like within 10 months, they realized that it's a failure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. What about their second attempt?
Their second attempt, slightly better. It did generate enough income for them to kick off the Wukong project, so I think that was the positive side of this project. The second project is called Art of War Red Tides. And this is launched in 2017, so 3 years after they initially established Game Science. And this is a real-time strategy games where you would command armies and kind of at the real-time like battle with other groups. It is also a very popular gameplay at the time. And I think they gave ByteDance publishing rights this time around. And so the original game, the real-time strategy game, didn't kick off really well. It was a PC plus mobile experience, so you can either play it on Steam or you can play it with mobile. And because of that, they garnered a lot of good reviews because when you develop a game for PC, the graphics and the design must be really good. And you do have Junkie, who's a genius designer. The design was really good, but gameplay, okay. So what you would do is like you and your opponents would choose a race, one of the 3 races they had, and then you would spend time building your army units. And you would just send them down this lane, and then you see who lasts. So there's also some kind of like wait until who wins element.
Oh, interesting.
But a lot of people were doing it, like StarCraft. And so it was okay, but they're not super big. But around that time, another gaming company called Drodo Studio, also in China, 2019, this is like a year later, they released something called Dota Auto Chess. It's a modification of the original Dota game. And the auto chess gameplay, which is kind of like your kind of card games. So you have 8 players that compete against each other. You get the chess pieces at random. And then you kind of assemble your chess pieces. Because some of them, if you have like 3 of the same, you get like a higher, ability to attack. So it's also like auto battle. Once you set up your chess pieces, you just kind of wait.
Yeah. You put it on idle and you just leave it there.
Somehow this got really, really popular. Guess what Game Science decided to do?
Oh my God, coffee again?
Yes.
Oh my God.
And it's actually a very good timing because with Art of War Red Tides, they already published an existing game. So for them to add this auto chess gameplay element, they don't have to develop from scratch. And because they moved really fast, they were the first auto chess game in China. And that garnered them a lot of popularity. But as you can imagine, with anything that can be copied, people will copy it. And so the period where they copied really fast before everyone else got into this arena, they did earn
a lot of
enough income, right, for their next project. But very, very soon, Tencent got in, right? Other players got in. And what Junkie mentioned after the fact is that the original RTS, the original game design, actually didn't make any money. Because, and this is a bit of their altruism showing as well, not because they don't want to, because they still wanted fairness for the players. So they did not sell any in-game items to boost player abilities. But they did have in-app purchases, which are skins. Skins doesn't make your hero more powerful, let's say. Skins just make it more pretty. And it worked for Honor of Kings, which is the #1 mobile app, but it only worked for Honor of Kings.
True. Yeah.
So Junkie was being very idealistic at that point, saying that we don't want our players to pay to win because they saw what pay to win did to Asura. But because of that, the best player happens to be the non-paying ones, and they're killing the paying players who just bought skin. So naturally, that doesn't work, right? So the auto chess actually saved this game because it was popular, short-lived popular. And that brought them to their next project.
Which is?
Wukong.
Yeah, finally.
Yes.
Oh my God, after we waited for such a long time. Talked about 50 minutes now.
Okay,
Finally, we're at
Wukong. I think knowing all the context of where they come from is really useful in understanding the decisions they made making Wukong. Right? The fact that they wanted a one-off payment rather than they hated in-app purchases at this point, right? And all the decisions they've made, including even at the very last game, Red Tide, they refused to charge pay-to-win items.
Right.
Yeah. So it tells you something about who are these people. So at this point, 2018, they've developed 2 games. One of them generated enough revenue to kick off the next project. Feng being kind of the one who's doing most of the financials and whatnot, needs to decide on the general direction, right? So there's mobile, again, which they're actually doing all right after Red Tides. And then there is PC, which they've never done before. Why did they pick PC?
I have a.
Please.
I have a couple, I'd say as signals that is pointing the direction of PC.
Yep.
But I wouldn't know for sure whether these would make up the 100% reason why they pick PC. But So Asura is already going into that direction of a more well-made and a sort of a more visually driven game. And to realize that, you can naturally do more things, I think, in a PC game. So that's number one. And I could share an example of of Asura later. And number two is a very number-driven reason, which Feng has pointed out in the game. PC gaming at the time that he was interviewed, which is 2016 something, had a more than 16 billion market in the US and has a 5 billion market in Japan, and surely is going to have a 1 billion market at least in China. So, but at the time, there isn't anyone in China who is making a good enough or like a world-class PC game at the time.
Yeah.
So I have reasons to believe with the ideologies that Feng has in his mind, maybe he wants to tackle that.
Capture that market.
The market is there. And how do I know he wants to capture that? When Asura was published, they have released an 8-minute CG computer graphics video that is called 10,000 Monsters Gathering. It was a wild 8 minutes at like 2010 or even 2012 at that time when it was released. And it was an 8-minute that is produced by the Third Floor, which is a CG company for Avatar at the time. And the Third Floor continued to produce more like visually glorious videos for Godzilla and Kong, Guardians of the Galaxy, and so on and so forth. But it shows that with both Feng and Yang Qi, I think they want to produce something that is visually flamboyant and also like a game. And then they see that as a market. And maybe they have done casual gaming or like mobile games for about for a while now, and then they're ready for their next chapter. So that's my guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that definitely has something to do with it. And I do agree. It's not just passion. It is a data-backed decision. They see that there is...
Finally.
They do see that there... I mean, the previous two project is not passion, right? Like they're not passionate about copy-paste mobile projects. So at that point, they have some money on their hands, and it was an important divergence decision in their company. So definitely that one data point. The other data point I got was at the same time period on Steam, they realized that 30% of the players are Chinese.
Oh, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, wow.
And what they've interpreted from this data is that there are enough Chinese people who are fed up with mobile games. I don't know how they interpreted this data.
Interesting.
But they turned to Steam because Steam is the number one PC gaming
in the world
source, right?
Yeah.
And so a lot of Chinese players signed up on Steam because they want to see what's out there in PC gaming. There's no Chinese... Well, there are some, but there's no really big AAA games on Steam. So they see this as a big opportunity.
Gotcha. Interesting. So they must have seen some like stagnating numbers maybe on mobile games within China and realized, maybe people have saturated. There aren't fun ways. And then they maybe want to shift to a different...
so whether,
questionable.
Yeah, so they definitely see a PC market opportunity. Whether they think the mobile market is penetrated or not, I'm not sure. I think the investors definitely don't see that at that point, or else it wouldn't be so hard for them to find investment.
True, right.
So
makes sense.
It was the rise of mobile games, 2014, 15, 16 kind of period. It was still mobile game first in China. The other reason, obviously you mentioned this, you hinted on this before, is Yang Qi really wanted, as the art designer, right? You obviously want a high resolution, AAA quality games.
Yeah.
So he said, according to his own video, own interview, and I'm not like making this up, he said, I kind of told Feng that I have chronic pharyngitis, which is throat issue. Yeah. And I have poor heart and lung function. And that the project will only take 100 million Chinese yuan, which is about 1/7 of what they ended up spending. So through some lies, he managed to convince Feng that this is something we need to start now. I think both of them said in interviews that there's never a perfect time to start the project. You will always find something missing, whether it's funding, whether it's know-how, whether it's market readiness. So why don't we start now?
Yeah.
And I don't think Feng is bought in by the lies that Yang Shi told. I think he's being rational and he knows the actual health conditions of his business partner. He actually went back to read the initial business plan that he put together for Game Science when they established in 2014. And he realized that 1/3 of the content that he wrote 3 years ago was about how the company was going to develop a PC game. Yeah.
Yeah, so there is that commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he is also safe, right? He's not your total gamble type of guy. So they've decided to split the team into 2. And by 2, I mean 7 people only go to Wukong.
It's very hard to split. Team of 7. You 6, do this. You 5.
I think maybe, I think
there must be some overlap.
I think they had like 70 or so that stayed in Shenzhen to continue with mobile gaming, and only a few went to Hangzhou for this new project. So it was, in hindsight, quite rational. Like you don't devote all of your money generating personnels onto a project that has a very low probability of realization.
But that team of 7 could die for nothing.
Yes. And it took them how long to make that demo, right?
A very long time.
Yeah. It's a team of 7. And just to put everything into context, they only developed game using Unity and Atomic, I think. Atomic is Tencent's internal engine. Unity is the big mobile gaming design engine. For you to develop on PC, the go-to engine was at that time Unreal. I think they chose Unreal Engine, which is owned by Epic, version 4. And they had to all learn from scratch. Right, it took
We're
them,
going to develop a PC game. We're learning how to develop that PC game.
Yeah, so everything's from scratch. It was really hard to even hire people who develop for PC games in China because there was just none.
Yeah, I don't think there is anyone who are capable of using Unreal. Like even today, I'd say there's only a handful of people who knows how to use that very frequently. And
who are all in games.
Yeah, who are all in game science now.
Yeah. No, I'm sure there are others, but it was just it was treading in waters that nobody in China has treaded in before.
Yeah.
So naturally, developing a 13-minute demo took them 1.5 years.
Yeah, they not only had that issue of talents who knows how to develop an actual good level PC game, they had other issues too, right? Do they actually have enough money? Right? Like this is if you look at the quality of the whole game and knowing how long it is, it takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of money. And they ended up hiring about 100 people like to develop this whole game.
Internal, and then there's, I think 1,400 people are in the credits.
Right.
Yeah.
For Jesus. Oh my God. Like for all the
vendors
staff,
and everything.
the vendors. Right. So money is a big issue. We have calculated a range. I think I'm on the lower end and you're on the higher end, but it goes into the
$70 to $100 million range, right?
Around that.
US dollar for production.
Right, for the entire production.
Yes.
So how was this calculation made? And in the 2020 interview, Feng said, for every single hour of this game, you need to spend about 15 to 20 million RMB. And they estimated at the very beginning, the game is going to take about 15 hours, ended up being much longer than that.
Depends on how good you're at playing the game.
It's true.
Could take me 40.
The more time that you spend on this game, like the better ROI you get, because they actually put a lot of money into it. And most of the gamers would critique the game as not very Souls-like or not very typical action-like, but very cinematic. I think that's all kudos to Junkie for bringing the best of the best quality of art design, whether it's modeling or environmental design, into that game.
Yeah, a lot of people really like the in-between chapter movies.
Yeah, the movies.
And each of the movies, he made it a point to have different types of animation.
Yeah.
So a story is that he, at least for 2 of the animations, he got his university classmate friends to work on. He paid them, obviously.
But he actually enslaved them. Yeah.
So one of them was the stop motion animation, which is done really well about the fox, and that took 2 years.
So a lot of effort and people and money is put into the art section of the entire game. Right. Also, like when you were doing the calculation for the whole game, you need to take out what they have to pay to different platforms. So for Steam and PlayStation, you'll have to pay 30% just for hosting. And there's a bunch of tax. And there is also 5% for the Unreal Engine that they were using. So it goes down to about 50%, 55% of the entire revenue. And that's what they will get by the end of the game development. You need to understand how many copies you have to sell to be able to break even. And if the cost goes up to 400 million RMB, which is about what they've done in terms of game development, you will need to sell at least 2.7 million copies.
No, they hit that easily.
They didn't know that they were going to hit it that easily. There was a lot of hesitation on, should we be spending that much money?
So every chapter they develop, they need to calculate, well, do I develop this chapter because it'll cost me this much?
Well, you would think, we both think this way, but we all know that they ended up developing a lot more chapters and cut out cut out a lot of chapters. Right?
I thought they didn't develop the chapter. They originally concepted 11 chapters. They didn't end up developing 5 of the chapters because for whatever reason, I think cost is definitely one of them.
Right. So cost is one of the limiting factors. And then the other factor would be the
time.
The technical capabilities that they had at the time.
Yeah.
A specific example is originally they had wanted to develop spoiler alert again. The first scene of the whole game is Wukong fighting against Erlang. And that was a one-on-one battle.
Yes.
Originally, they had planned that battle to be Wukong fighting against 100,000 fighters.
That costed too much.
That cost too much. And because in the original novel, 猴子大战10万天兵, right?
Actually, 100,000.
Exactly, actual 100,000. If one Wukong is fighting 100 fighters and you need to create all of that, your PC is going to burn into ashes. Like your entire computer won't be functioning.
Right.
You also have to take into consideration the algorithm into the mechanics of the gameplay. Anyways, so that being cut and that being completely eliminated ended up being a fight between Wukong and Erlang, which was reasonable. Where did they get the initial money for Wukong? 2017 May, Feng had received its very initial funding from Hero Games. And Hero Games, just to expand on a little bit, is also a gaming company. The founder of Hero Games, his name is called Wu Dan, he invested 2 times into Wukong. The first time...
Daniel Wu,
yes. Daniel Wu, a University of Toronto graduate. He is famously known for knowing how to create games and being a good gaming investor, and almost all of the projects that he has invested in took off. And the most famous projects are Wukong and Wuthering Heights, a recent game produced by Kuro Games, which is a company in Guangzhou. Daniel invested in Wukong for 60 million at the very beginning, and
Chinese yuan.
Yes, Chinese yuan. And later, 2 years in, he added 100 million to Wukong as a product.
So I guess that sets them up.
Yeah, that sets them up. That would account for somewhere in between 30% to half of what they need
Right.
for the entire game. And that really helped out a lot
And they
for the game
made
development.
some money through Red Tide too, so that went into full-on Wukong development. Mm-hmm. So together they were covered. They were all right.
They were
in the
all right.
first few years.
Yeah. And remember 2020, August 20th? That's when the first trailer was published, that epic 30-minute that got everyone's attention. That's, the little workshop the 7 people has been working on for a very long time. When that trailer was published, more people started to notice this little company. Tencent started to notice this company as well. And that's also when Tencent started pouring some money into the company and taking over about 5% of the company's share. So, more hands / red tides. So things are starting to click. And also because of that trailer, more people got interested in joining the gaming company, Game Science.
Yeah, apparently they received like 10,000
That's what I've researched as well.
resumes overnight.
Wouldn't that be great? Like you went from like 10, 20 people to receiving
10,000 resumes. Feng had to put on Weibo, or tell everyone on Weibo that please don't visit our headquarters. We're working.
Yeah.
And number 2 is there will be a 7-day workaround to respond to your resume. We will respond, don't worry, but it'll take 7 days because there's a lot. On the investment part, here's what I calculated as valuation. So 2017, when Hero Games invested the 60 million CNY, they took 20% share. So that makes their valuation about 5 times of 60 million, which is 300 million. When Tencent invested in 2021, which is about 4 years later, they took a 5% minority stake for about $50 million US, 350-ish Chinese yuan. The valuation then went up from 300 million CNY to 1 billion USD between the 4 years. And what happened in these 4 years? So what happened between the 4 years? The only major thing that happened was the demo.
Fascinating. How much a 30-minute trailer could do for you.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously the number of views on all platforms showcase that there's a potential in this project. But at the same time, in Tencent, one of the chief strategy officers, chief strategy officer in early 2020, his name is James Mitchell. He told in an investment strategy meeting within Tencent, he said that the gaming industry shouldn't have such high return on investment, because when you have average high return on investment, it means we haven't invested in enough failures. So we need to then look at, are we investing too conservatively? This speech in 2020 set off an investment spree for Tencent in gaming. And I think product of that is Wukong. And at the same time, Feng actually posted something as well around this conversation, because remember, Tencent was the bad guys in 2014 with Asura. So taking money from your old employer who tried to control you once before is a bit, you need to be a bit careful. So Feng actually had a really careful conversation, a very intense conversation with Tencent about,
What's your intention?
Yes, I want this as a pure financial investment. Tencent assured at that point that we're not going to interfere. We're not going to make you IAP the beep out of your game. Nice. And they took the money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, and it turns out that it's a great investment for Tencent. That game did get a lot of attention while it is published. So 2018, that's when Wukong officially launched into like a project mode and started rolling on. In 2020, the first trailer, a lot of very positive feedback, a lot of investment being added. And 2024, August 20th, that's when the game is officially
launched.
published. And within 24 hours, Do you want to share some cool numbers?
Within 24 hours, it was set to have sold 4.5 million copies on Steam. That generated about $210 million revenue US dollars. Remember our investment into this project? We estimated 70 to 100 million US dollar, right? 210 on your first day. More than covered what you put into the project on day one. This is only day one.
Yeah, can you imagine what Feng and Junkie would be like on day one?
Yeah, can you imagine what Daniel Wu was like on day one?
Yeah, baby, make it rain.
Yeah, I'm sure Feng and Junkie was like, let's take a vacation.
Yeah.
Because the year up to release, they were under a lot of pressure because people are like, hey, it's been 5 years. You promised 5 years. It's been 6 years. Hello, where's my game?
A quick fun fact to the publishing date. All of the game designers, the artists / the music teams who have been working on this game, they just kept polishing the game towards the last day. There was one day when Feng asked the music director, is it perfect yet? Is it perfect yet? And then the music director, it will never be perfect. You just let me know when is the absolute deadline and I will stop fixing anything. That's the real conversation.
That's so true for like, same as for Junkie and his creative team.
Yeah. Will it ever be perfect?
Yeah. Actually, a related side bit, he contracted out a lot of the art creation, a lot of the model building to one of his other classmates. And the company is called Graphic Science. I'm not sure if they kind of
matched in names.
I don't know if they're just like bros. But Graphic Science also situates in Hangzhou, and they took up a lot of the artwork production for game science. And Graphic Science, being a design team, also went really into depth about the art to the extent where Junkie said, we're a PC game. When it's actually rendered on someone's PC, your design won't be showing at all. Because imagine if you're designing into every pixel on your, let's say, big screen TV, right? When you look at the same graphics on your phone, you won't see the details. It won't even render because you're trying to optimize.
Right.
So, and the classmate actually said, I tried to tell our designer that this is not in their KPI. It's
going to be compressed, yeah.
Yeah. The designer was like, it's fine. I'm using my own time for this. I just love this project.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think most of the people who are working on this is giving out very much of a passion project vibe. No matter what you give me, I'm just going to do this art no matter what. Do you want to talk about the VR scanning bit?
Yes. So that's actually a cosplay. It's purely a cost thing, actually. A cost.
But I think it did save a lot of time. Otherwise, they wouldn't have enough time to render or have enough time to manually draw the environment of the temple.
No, I think that's why they started looking into scanning, because they realized what happened initially is that they had a team of 7 to 8 people, and it took them half a year to make a building. And it's because
such productivity.
they're a bit experienced for sure. But at the same time, because they're artists, they also don't want to just replicate a building, because as an artist, you need to figure out the structure of a building. So you need to learn how architecture works. Once you learn the structure, you can't be happy with just replicating, because you want your own creative input. So then you tweak it. Yeah. So after all this, and then learning the gaming engines, half a year goes by.
Half a year goes by. And then they learned so many built-in units of Unreal. They, I think, have added not just the Unreal Engine itself, but there's a lot of nanite using, a lot of ray tracing with all the lighting control. And they have to learn it and tackle it one by one, like ray tracing, chaos physics, and a bunch of other things. Sounds like a lot of work, but I'm sure they all enjoyed it.
Yes. and besides, so with the building, going back to the building scan, Junkie actually was a player of Uncharted 2 Among Thieves, which is a game that published in 2009. This game was the first well, I'm not sure if it's the first, but it actually also was a game that perfected the cinematic action adventure genre. So he really liked the game, but the game is also known for going to Nepal to scan buildings and put it into the game. So he remembered that. Junkie visited Nepal, I think actually because of his love for this game. And so when he was building Wukong, he remembered that, oh, you can do this. Let's look into if this can be a cost-saving effort. Turns out that it can. So they ended up, and I think the development team was also like, yeah, let's take a trip to Shanxi. Let's take a trip to everywhere else, not staying in Hangzhou. So they put a team in different areas rather than building themselves. They just scanned the existing temples. That's why it looks so real.
It looks so beautiful in the game. It's so good.
It looks real to the extent that I think when they were doing the scanning, there was some engravings from people who are vandalizing. And it
was
made the
captured?
Game. Yes, it made the game. I don't know if they fixed it, but somebody noticed it. It ended up being a cost-saving effort. Another cost-saving effort was motion capturing because they realized modeling each one of them, and they were really well known for the number of bosses that they have. They were really praised for the number of bosses that they have, but for modeling out each one of them, which is like an effort. And so at some point they were like, let's do motion capture and that make things easier, which for any of you who wants more context on how fun the team is, there's a 2022 Chinese New Year video on how they used a cat to do motion capturing and failed. And so they resorted to, and this is, I guess, is a kind of a spoiler, they resorted to more two-legged creatures bosses because it was hard to do a four-legged motion capture because the cats will not listen to them, obviously.
Your bosses will be hitting at you like a soft cat, like just rolling on the floor. That would be a great game for me. I would play that.
Yeah, they're like, out of the 100 footages, only 2 of them we can use, and they don't really work that well because the cats have their own minds.
Oh, it's a cute video to check out. One other fun fact that I've learned from the 3D scanning bit is the graphic science CEO and Junkie, they went on to that Shanxi trip for the temple together.
Yes.
And on the way back, they were on a highway in Wutaishan area, and it was very late. And then the driver fell asleep, and they almost fell off of like a small cliff. Almost lost their lives on their way for the game. Oh. The other bit that I want to mention would be the music. Did you listen to the whole soundtrack OST part of it?
I listened to some of the music. It was really good.
So the audio director, Li Jiaqi, he actually used to work with Feng in the Doujenshin game, the Asura game.
Asura, okay.
Yeah. So in that Asura game, they have already started collaborating. And later on, that music company called 8082 Audio Company were the ones who created all the wonderful soundtracks for Black Myth Wukong. 8082, I'm just going to call it the audio company, serviced most of the major Chinese gaming and animation companies for, supporting their music. And how did Li Jiaqi went about creating music for them? Typically, for game making, you do the game first, and then you add on to the soundtracks. But to make it more corresponding to the environment, Li Jiaqi realized that the game science was running short on time. So there's not enough time for them to finish for me to go in and create the music. So he just went into the office and starting to talk about everyone who was creating their game and understanding, what are you making?
Yes.
Can you tell me which chapter you're at?
Yes.
Can you tell me what's the vibe for this chapter so that I can start creating the music for your chapter already?
You have to do it concurrently.
Exactly. So he did it concurrently. Feng is a huge music fan, and he wouldn't allow any, cheap music to be put into such a fantastically artistic game.
No, it still has to be good quality.
Yeah, he would prioritize quality. Yeah. So the music director's job was to somehow synthesize and compress 36 subtracks all together and record a lot of the music was the International Master Philharmonic Orchestra and pair them with Chinese instruments. The music also has to correspond with the battling mechanics. Otherwise, players would feel out of place. So the
Right.
whole environment serves the players' interest.
Yep.
And that's why you feel it's really good. And out of the original 10 songs in the OST, 9 songs' lyrics are manually written by Feng. The music director said, Feng is really fast and good at writing lyrics, even though he will procrastinate at other jobs, but writing lyrics, he will never procrastinate.
So, like, for a CEO who has to write the storyline, produce, and do everything else in the game, he prioritized writing lyrics.
Well, exactly. He prioritized writing lyrics. So usually it's a
funny.
one-day delivery. The music director would ask him, oh, like, what kind of music do you want? And then he would come back next day with the demos, and Feng would then add the lyrics into it. The most famous piece is is P. 三界四周, but I think in the English version there is a much better name, but the Chinese one just says P, 三界四周. Anyways, for the Chinese fans out there are bits of the TV shows from 1986. Like, did you...
The TV show that introduced Journey to the West to every Chinese
Exactly. Did you watch that growing up at all?
Yes.
Okay.
I mean, not like it was not only shown in 1986, it was shown every single year after
Every
that.
single year after that. So we all watched that growing up. And
You can't not watch it.
yeah, it's a part of your classics education in China. And in some of the soundtracks, you will even find bits of the TV's rework
Yes.
into it. And that's when you feel, oh, this is so familiar. And
Yes.
maybe for the Western folks,
They're like, no idea.
you have no idea what's going on. But for the Chinese, it's like, yes, I'm like beating the big boss. And when that music appears, you would know, oh, I got the scriptures or I
Yes.
made it to the end.
Yes.
I think overall that music creation period was also quite fun and enjoyable and spent a lot of money into that.
I think there's one of their other mantras, which is throughout the period of production, it's going to be long and arduous. So you need to be enjoying it or else you're not going to last 6 years. And that's why Yang Qi allowed his classmate, graphic science, to build little details and never make it to the game. And they probably did the same thing to their own artists and their own sound production.
Yeah.
You know, do things that you think is fun. Not too extreme, but you know, you need to have investment into things that doesn't make immediate financial sense. But you need to keep your interest into this game because it's 6 years down your lifetime. And how many 6 years are you going to have?
Exactly. Putting money and effort into something that every single person at Game Science personally feel impressed
Yes.
about. It's very worthwhile.
This is actually relates to how they picked action RPG in the first place.
Right.
They looked at every employer's Steam account and they tallied it up, and it turned out that 50% of the folks are really into action RPG.
I also discovered that they did some preliminary research before they went into Steam and decided what kind of games that are most played on Steam, and they discovered 2 also action games. One is more, Souls-like. They're Monster Hunter, and the other one is Dark Souls Trilogy. Both like action RPG kind of Souls-like. Yeah.
So we didn't really finish talking about the numbers. So 4.5 million copy was only day one, right? And then in 3 days, it was 10 million. This 10 million, like, just to put things into comparison, a lot of the other blockbuster hits like Elden Ring took weeks to achieve 10 million. So it took them 3 days. By the end of the first quarter, it was already up to 23 million. A year and a bit more later today, the estimates are around 30 million copies. 30 million copies at about $50 each. The figure I got, and some of them went on discount or whatnot, so the figure I got is $1.37 billion USD. That's their valuation at 2021 with Tencent was only 1 billion. They already managed to hit that in terms of revenue with this one game. Impressive.
Yeah.
But criticism.
I knew it. Let's go.
Okay.
Criticisms.
So one criticism I got was if you actually played, you would realize that it was only published on Steam and PS5 or PlayStation in general, and PlayStation had a lot of bugs. So it was literally just optimized for Steam at initial release.
Yeah.
Right. So that was, I guess you can attribute it to experience in terms of development. It is their first game,
True.
PC game, but they never made it to Xbox. And their reason was that Xbox must concurrently publish on both the S series and the X series, which is the kind of upgraded series. But the game was too big and took up too much memory to be played on the S series. And so they couldn't publish on Xbox. That I feel like is a bit of an excuse because when you're developing this for 6 years, you would imagine you're optimizing the game for all 3 channels. And so on Xbox, they only managed to release this 1 year later and sold 100,000 copies, which is nothing compared to the 30 million they sold on the other 2 channels, right? So maybe some of the Xbox player didn't want to wait and purchase on Steam and play on PC instead, but you imagine there is kind of opportunity loss on this decision.
A lot of room to improve for the second PC game.
Yeah, like I'm guessing, I think they must release at the same time for their second game where they will face, this time I think they faced a little bit of backlash, not too much because it was first game. Most of the players are still on Steam, so it's fine. But there's a lot of negative reviews around optimization for PlayStation as well. So I think limited resourcing, right?
Yeah.
The other kind of reception that is slightly negative, and I'm saying this because it's mostly positive, and that's why people are buying it. But if we have to pick things out, right? The narrative to Journey to the West is familiar with Chinese audiences only. Most people actually play the entire game, non-Chinese players, without really knowing too much context, and they didn't spend that much time explaining the story.
I watched a video of a Western player trying to explain the game, and I think he did his best into explaining what it is about, but it is still not Journey to the West.
Okay.
I'll show you the link later.
Yeah, and I think it's like if the game is really good, then you would kind of overlook these things. But at the same time, like knowing all the context or putting enough, I guess, mindfulness in the storyline to your global audience can help you. Because right now, if you look at the comments section on Steam, over 65% are simplified Chinese comments. And both of our research said that, Chinese purchasers, gamers, accounted for at least 70% of the sales. So if you really want to grow in the future, I feel like you need to make this as global as possible.
They are primarily targeting the Chinese audience for this game. I think.
Right, yeah, I think they are. They were also shocked at how many Western non-Chinese played it.
I have to give fair credit. I do think that they've done a pretty good job in translating the game. And the English translation doesn't feel off. It's
not like Chinglish for sure.
Yeah, everything goes together quite well. And I think the Twitch game players, they were listening to it, try to piece everything together, even though there might be small misunderstandings. But I think overall the delivery wasn't bad. And I would hope the gamers who went on to play the game would want to maybe explore more to what's behind it. And what's in the Lord of the Rings of the East,
That's true. I think a player commented on it's like starting a book on page 200.
Wow.
Which means, there are that there's context you don't know. Right? So some people it's actually a good thing in the sense that some players will go back and read Journey to the West.
Oh, good for them.
And what's interesting, one other story is when they released the next title, Zhong, Black Myth Zhong, there's people putting up, non-Chinese players putting up a briefing on Zhong on YouTube. So it also...
I don't even know the backstory of Junkie, to be honest.
You gotta watch the YouTube video.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a Oh, he's a scholar demon slayer. He's an ugly looking demon. Oh, so the story that the version I saw on YouTube is he was a scholar and he had really good grades. So then he took the government exam, and the emperor, so the people who are like top 3 in the government exam gets to face the emperor. The emperor assigns a job, right? The emperor saw him and it's like, you're so ugly, I'm not going to assign you a job,
Aw.
as the story goes. And then he was so frustrated that he killed himself.
Oh, that's not very nice.
I know.
Oh my God.
But he found his calling in hell. So he obviously he died, went to hell for some reason, even though he's a good guy. But,
No.
and then, but like the Chinese Yan Wang, the Chinese Hades, I guess, saw him as like.
I love Linda's version of this.
I think
I would buy this.
I think I can use you to kill demons. You're a good guy. Like I'm gonna.
So you got appreciated in the end.
Yes, the human emperor didn't appreciate, but I will. I assign you this task, and he just became like a very righteous demon. Yeah.
Interesting. I think Feng he likes this kind of character, like the ones that you would think are standing for justice, but actually not. But the ones who are the hidden gems that are on their face, like not the nicest when you first perceive them, but are good at heart. Like he liked the contrast.
Yes.
Right? Yeah.
Yes.
That's really something that he, likes to write stories about. And he's a good writer himself. Like, he's always writing.
I think so, because if you read everything within the Wukong story, it's actually a lot of side characters with really in-depth narratives.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, so on Zhong, right? I feel like it caught everyone by surprise. It was also released in August 20th. But most people were expecting something else. Is it called downloadable
DLC,
content?
yeah,
DLC,
downloadable content, yeah.
which is an extension, new gameplays or additional gameplays for Wukong, because everyone thought, Wukong's so big, monetize on Wukong. Like,
yeah, the surprise element.
let
for
me
the
pay
old
you
game.
for Wukong, and then they're like, nope, we're not gonna be predictable. So 2 reasons. I think 2 reasons that I can think of. Please feel free to add. One is they've worked on this for 6 years, and their mantra was do this for passion, right? Do what you believe in. And they think, and Junkie obviously didn't want to work on more Wukong. He might throw up if he sees another Wukong. So for 6 years, they only worked on this. They wanted something different, the creative team. I think that's understandable. But he did promise that there will be more of Wukong. It's not that they've moved on and they don't want to pursue Wukong anymore. They know it's loved and it's a IP that they should pursue, both out of their interest to develop games, but also out of financial interest, right? But Zhong was something that they wanted to pivot to kind of change their gameplay, change their storyline, and see if they will still succeed.
Maybe it's in one of their strategies, and I deeply believe in Junkie. Like he will eventually deliver the DLC, but it's just a matter of how long is the wait. I am not a gamer myself, but I have had gamer friends who told me that typically, like with the game this big launching, and within a year of time, you would give out some sort of, things to keep the fans engaged and be nicer to the fans so that they will continue to be their fans. So DLC is typically one way to get that done. Yeah. But I believe they will eventually get to that.
But I think there was one commentary. I remember my second point now. So there was one commentary on the fans are expecting so much out of Wukong now that you've delivered something really well. But maybe when they develop the game, they haven't thought that it's going to do this well to really think about the DLC when they develop the content itself.
True.
So when they develop something as in DLC, as an extension pack, it's something that they never thought about. They potentially never thought about for the past 6 years. It might disappoint fans if they don't think this off really well, right?
From this point on, for game science, it's all about expectation management.
Exactly.
Right?
But if they go with a completely different character and maybe a different gameplay, the expectations are a little bit different.
Right.
And so it's not that they will have lower expectations, but at least
It will be shifted.
it was not Wukong, right?
Right.
Wukong was just up here now.
Yeah. That was my biggest concern. If you started here as your first PC game, what are the ways that you can either go really great, you can, the next one is going to be the same, or what if you don't deliver something as nice? Going just back to comparing to other like Souls-like,
RPGs,
you can compare to like RPGs. I covered a Souls-like company.
Yeah.
So Elden Ring, Bloodborne, Dark Souls trilogy, they're all created by this one Japanese company called From Software. And the maker, the owner of this company, or the key producer of this company is called Hidetaka Miyazaki. Kind of everyone in gaming knows about this person, and because what he was able to deliver was almost impossible for many other gaming companies, every single one of his later designs got better and continuously, right? So you start with Dark Trilogy and then you move on to Elden Ring. Everything that he created was exceeding the expectation of the audience of the previous game. And company got... From Software is probably not one of the largest companies. From Software created the genre of Souls-like game. So now this question is being put forward to, game sides, right? Are you going to deliver something, first of all, continuously and consistently? And then second is, will your second or the third PC game continue to be at the same level of the first one? Because you started really quite high, at least for Chinese audience.
Yes. I think there's two reasons why people really like the first one, right? One is that it's something fresh. Chinese mythology is something that
it's new.
It's new for the global audience. Even for Chinese audience, it's new. So there was a lot of anticipation. And Feng said it himself. If we deliver something 75%, the market is going to treat us as if we deliver something 90% because it's a first. So the team is constantly putting themselves on this pedestal and telling people we understand that this is not the best game ever. We're aware that you're giving us bonus points because we're a first-time designer and we're a Chinese company, yada, 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 right? So with this awareness, I think the team can push themselves to deliver something better. There is a chance that they don't, because the current gameplay, even though there's overwhelmingly good reviews, it's still very much the same wide linear product. It's nothing revolutionary. It's not, I think one of my friends put it's not Death Stranding, which shocked everyone in the gaming industry. Like, you're a delivery man in a world that everyone's died already. I don't know. It's just like one of the really popular games. And so the storyline, how they've managed the game levels, is nothing revolutionary. So they still have a lot of upward potential in that.
Yeah.
Right? And as you said, the Chinese audiences are still going to give them a Chinese premium at this stage, because anything developed they will love. Unless it's something really crappy. And because they have their design independence now, away from Tencent, away from other companies, I think they're on track. For potentially delivering something well. There are instances where when you do expand your team too much, there are potential issues with collaboration, because you have your designer, devs, marketing, etc. that all goes in the mix. So let's see. They've managed it pretty well so far. There's no concern points at this point, at least. What is concerning, one thing, is now that Tencent, Lilith, NetEase, all these Chinese mobile gaming companies know that this is a viable path. AAA is a thing that we can benefit, we can financially profit from.
Someone MVP'd for us.
Are we going to go in this? So when Junkie comes out 6 years later or whenever.
Hopefully not 6 years.
Well, development timeline-wise is highly possible, right? will there be more Chinese games, Chinese mythology themed games that people are so tired of that you don't get the same amount of popularity anymore? That's the one major concern I have.
Yeah.
Yours?
Currently the split for Wukong between Chinese audience and international audience is roughly 75, 25, 70, 30. The split for Elden Ring being sold for 30 million copies, about 70%, which is about 20 million copies, is sold internationally, and then the rest for domestic. It's kind of the reverse situation for Wukong. So yeah, I think the competition will definitely get fierce in the future for Chinese developed PC games, and whether how much the gaming developer companies wants to use Chinese mythology as a context. I don't know. I think there will be a time when that genre won't be too crowded, but I would also hope to see that maybe there is a slight chance that a non-Chinese audience would become more interested, or maybe these stories will be more well told to the audience, such that it will be evenly distributed between China and the global.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just a dream. Like, I'm not trying to paint an overly rosy picture for any of the companies. Let's just say that Game Science does a pretty good job in the first game.
And also, Yang Qi promised the next 2 trilogies before his retirement. So I really hope he can realize his promise.
Yeah, I really hope. And I wrote my notes while I was listening to the OST, the music, and my heart was so filled. It's really nice. Brings you back. I didn't play the game myself. I watched some of my friends play that game, like in a few chapters, and I watched the whole movie. So I watched someone play the game, and that person did a wonderful job, was angelic into creating, like slicing the footage and edited into a 4-hour movie, and then I watched all of it.
Wow.
Yeah. And
this is not the Twitch streaming, this is a separate.
No.
Okay.
I watched both Twitch streaming and I spent
a lot of content consumption.
Or my excuse for binge watching a lot of videos on YouTube. But, like overall, I'd say that even you can criticize it as a game, but like from a cinematic, from a movie, from a creation point of view, I still think that it's good work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look forward to more.
Look forward to more.
Yay.
Besides the revenue from gaming, there's one thing to actually help them. Not to say that Zhong, despite Zhong's performance, they actually have another revenue stream to help them out, meanwhile, which is IP monetization.
Ooh.
Yes.
Which one?
Wukong.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So far, all the revenue we talked about was the game itself, right? So purchasing the game, that's already.
You're talking about the derivatives.
Yes.
Ooh.
And that's where a lot of the money may come from. Because people are like, give me Wukong gear, give me Wukong merch, where's my Wukong t-shirt? So they've contracted out another company. And that's actually one thing Game Science does really well, which is, for what I don't know well, stop motion animation, motion capturing, whatever, right? I get professionals to do it. So for the IP generation, they have another company. So if you're in China, if you're on Taobao, you cannot, they do have an official store.
Oh, really? Oh, wow. You shouldn't tell me that. That's dangerous.
Okay, you can purchase a Wukong for 400 yuan.
Ooh. Okay.
Very nicely done, though. It's not it's 1 to 12 ratio Wukong. The coloring and everything looks very professional. You can get a Bajie, you can get other characters as well. And they've partnered up, this is really interesting, they partnered up with Anker, the charger, cell phone battery company. Electronics, to produce a Wukong charger.
A lot of imagination that can be realized.
Exactly. Yeah. So there are a lot of things that they could benefit, and this is a more steady revenue stream than one-off game purchases that kind of fades over time, right? So that might be something that can help them out meanwhile. And if they do well in Zhong, then they have more IP to monetize on. And in a very, very good scenario, you can imagine a future where You know how we talk about like we traveled to Orlando for Disney and we traveled to Japan for Miyazaki studio. Will there be a 10-year later
Ooh,
where
that's a good
people
idea.
travel to Hangzhou for Wukong?
Ooh,
Oh, I don't know why
that.
Hangzhou, but you know.
That makes sense.
Right?
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
That's $1 million idea, actually.
Right.
Okay, let's see what happens.
Let's see.
I'm excited. All right. If you like this content, please give us a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Podcast and let us know what else you're interested in. We'll see you in the next episode.
See you.